welcome to the third round of our WCR second tier championship. And today the calendar takes us to the Chinese economical capital and to the Shanghai International Circuit. To the next 26 laps made of 7 corners to the left and 9 to the right, we will see to their full extent the cornering speed and direction change of the cars through the seemingly never-ending corners of the sectors 1 and 2, as well as the top speed and deceleration capabilities through the demanding sector 3. As you can see, the one-stop strategy will be the most popular. Of course, the hardest to employ will be the soft to the hard. As you can see, it's Blackbird leading the championship, followed by Spats Gamer and Kovacs Loran, both 6 points behind, as we have Amkasa in P4. After that, we can look at outside top 10. We have Rainbow in before row. Rainbow is 4 points, row with 3. Just waiting a little bit for the constructor standings, as we have McLaren in first with 26 points, followed by Renault in P2 with 21. Then we have Toro Rosso in third with 16, followed by Ferrari in fourth, 1 point behind. Then we have Red Bull in fifth with 12, followed by Williams with 8 points, as Mercedes, as Alfa Romeo and Sport and Racing Point haven't scored any points so far. So with that, we can minimize everything and get ourselves ready for our qualifying session. The skies look threatening, but no rain at these points. So, going to get ourselves on the details and of course the telemetry. But yeah, while we wait, I'm going to take a look at who is further into their outlap. So we have Tinku, we have Fragile, who is already in third sector. We have Blackbird in the first one. We have Lil Jon, Blue. Okay, Panda Cruiser. We have Jensen in the pits. FSKS, Rainbow, Evil Kiwi. Okay, I would say it is FSKS, then Evil Kiwi, and some other drivers. Okay, so let's go on board then with our first car to start the qualifying session. That is going out on the hards, the German of the Racing Point, and he opens DRS up to the gears, mode number 5 of DRS, as he just waits for about 30 meters away from turn 1. Hard on the brakes as you downshift, turn of course the car, and the tires complain quite a bit. You can understeer quite a bit if you are too late. Nice transition there from turns 2 to 3, as he needs to be smooth on the throttle. He gets himself up through the gears, mode number 5 of VRS once again, and once again looking for the 100-meter marker board. Hard on the brakes into turn number 6. Very good on the apex, very clean exit as well, and now he prepares to the swooping left and right combination of turns 7 and 8. Nice angle of attack into the second corner of the sequence. Now you have to pull yourself to the right hand side to open the angle for what is essentially a double left-hander of turns 9 and 10. A little bit on the curb there, not sure if the game is going to nullify his lap. 100 meters away from the corner, hard on the brakes again for the sequence of turns 11 and 12. Very carefully need to be on the throttle. You don't want to lose any bit of the power transitioning into the grass, tires and the track. He did it very nicely, got a bit of understeer though, nonetheless. He's away, DRS wide open in the back of his Racing Point. He's getting himself now 100 meters away from the corner, heavy on the brakes once again. Heaviest braking zone of the entire circuit, turns number 14 and 15, and then we have the last corner of the Chinese layout, turn number 16. DRS wide open at the back of his car. He's already run out of DRS, but he posts a 133.5. In the meantime, we have Tinko about to complete his lap. He's actually going quite slow, so he probably made a mistake somewhere along the way. Let's jump to Evil Kiwi, who gets himself crossing over the line. His lap was nullified. Frajoku gets new pole with the 132.9 on the softs. In the meantime, look, Bika is in the second sector row as well. Tinko is going for another lap, I'm sure. We have Panda Cruiser and Blue completing their laps. Blackbird gets new pole with a 132.7. And there was someone as well on the background, not sure if it was someone that was about to complete the lap. Lil Jon is getting through the hairpin on his Racing Point. He is also on the hards. Let's see what he does. He has one of the Mercedes in front of him, Let's see how it goes. Lil Jon gets through the last corner. The Mercedes of Rainbow gets a 137.4 and Lil Jon beats him for a full second row of racing points with a 133.5. Very similar pace from both racing points. This is going to be interesting to see who gets the advantage on the inter-team battle. In the meantime, we have Bika going extremely wide there into turn 16, going to open the RS, gets himself P3 to 133.3, and Rowe gets a 135.0 on the hards. He doesn't go beyond 8th place. Looking now at Jensen, he is in the second sector. Spax Gamer is also in the second sector. Rocky is about to cross the line, and it is going to be 3rd place for the Red Bull with a 133.2. Wasn't able to break into the 32s, but nonetheless, good lap from him. Now, waiting, Evil Kiwi completes a second lap and nullifies it again. I'm sure he's going to bring it to the pits now. But yeah, that is very unfortunate from the Czech driver. Not the most disciplined, it looks like, of qualifying laps. In the meantime, we have one of, yeah, it is the Alfa Romeo, but I'm sure he went on to the pits. No, he actually improved. Stinko got a 133.5, moves up to P7. Jensen, 134.3, can't go beyond 9th place. Taking a look at Spax Gamer, who's also close to finishing his lap. Let's see what Ferrari does. P5, 133.4, very close from 3rd to 5th, even from 3rd to 8th. It's very, very close at this point of the session, so definitely something I'm interested in, seeing who gets the best pace out of the hard compounds, or if they are actually going to switch onto the mediums for last lap, trying to go for the mediums to the hards one-stop strategy. In the meantime, we have Overspeed and Brigade still in the pits. Brigade is doing his debut today, and Overspeed, he hasn't had the greatest of luck. He DNF'd at Australia, got 7th at Bahrain. He hasn't posted a lap time just yet, so let's see what he does later on the session. We already have some cars getting out there. I believe one of them was one of the Ferraris. Yes, it is Fragioco, the first going out there for, well, for an outlap. FSKS follows him. So, just waiting for most other drivers to get in the pits. Panda Cruiser looks like he's switching for a set of softs on his garage. Looks like the McLaren mechanics and strategists are opting to go out there on a set of softs, trying to get an advantage of pace early on, trying to get out of trouble. Of course, if you qualify in the midfield, sometimes accidents are inevitable, as there is too many cars for too little space. Of course, they must be trying to avoid that one and get themselves a good start. Fragioco, while we wait for him to get his flying lap going, he DNF'd at both Australia and Bahrain. So, unfortunately, he hasn't scored any points just yet. He did have a very good qualifying performance with a P3 at Bahrain, but was involved in a crash into turn 1. So, it is unfortunate. They're going to have to wait and see, as Bika on his 3rd lap on the hards is still trying to improve at it, and he does. P2 for him at the moment. So, nicely done there from the Haas driver, from the Dutch driver of the Haas. Very nicely done indeed. In the meantime, let's take a look at Fragioco. I would say it is FSKS after that. So, let's see how the Ferrari does. Of course, going to check up on him once he gets done with his lap. Also have FSKS. After that, we have a Panda Cruiser just started his out lap. I would say now he's in the 3rd sector. Overspeed is finally out there, and Evil Kiwi is following closely. Both drivers are just starting. We have Fragioco on a flying lap, FSKS on a flying lap, and Panda Cruiser is going to follow them. So, let's see how the Ferrari does. It's actually catching up to Overspeed and Evil Kiwi, who are both doing outlaps. Evil Kiwi is doing outlaps on 2 laps old hards. So he's still trying to get a lap done on the hard compound, despite not being able to get valid lap times in his previous 2 attempts. So, of course, the wear on those tires is going to be... it's unavoidable, really, even though Bika got P2 on a set of on a set of 3-lap-old tires. Fragioco having a bit of a tank slapper there, if I caught that one correctly. And he is going to lose a lot of time down the straight. Let's see how it goes though. Let's see if he can improve his time. He's getting himself hard on the brakes now. He might actually get a bit of slipstream even from Evil Kiwi, but let's see. Getting himself up on the power once again. Going to give it all from the hybrid power unit. He's going to start derating at the exit of this last corner. He's going to cross over the line, and it is going to be a non-improvement. He did not improve, and he's going to have to try again at a later time. In the meantime, we have FSKS about to complete his lap. So let's see how that one goes for him. In the meantime, Rocky has started his flying lap. Oh, FSKS is aborting his lap. So checking up on a Panda Cruiser, who is getting through to his last couple corners of the layout. Spax Gamer is on an outlap. Rocky started his flying lap, but in front of them are Overspeed and Evil Kiwi. Let's see what the McLaren does on the softs though. Getting himself now through the last corner. He's also going to start derating. No, he's actually nullifying his lap as well, just like FSKS. That is interesting to see. Let me take a look at, we have Rocky in Sector 3, and we have Overspeed and Evil Kiwi. They just started Sector 3, but they are behind. Okay, so let's take a look at Rocky and see how he does. Now into the hairpin, hard on the brakes once again. It looks like he has a bit more ERS available to him than his rivals, so he's probably not going to derate coming out of the last corner, and he also aborts his lap. I honestly am not sure why everyone is aborting their laps like that, but nonetheless, it is what is occurring at the moment. Overspeed is going himself through the last couple corners. Let's see how it goes. The Alfa Romeo gets a bit wide there in the last corner, but he's not going to get nullified. None other than 12th place, as Evil Kiwi denies 11th place to him and denies the top 10 to Blue, getting himself a 133.7. And actually very close to his teammate, only 110 separating both Toro Rosso, so just like the racing points, it is going to be very interesting to see how that one develops. Also we have Spax Gamer, who just started his flying lap. He has been able to claim 2 top 5 finishes in the first 2 races of the championship, 3rd place at Australia and a 4th place at Bahrain. Funnily enough, it's actually the reverse of Rocky. Rocky got himself 4th in Australia and 3rd at Bahrain. Spax Gamer did the exact reverse. So it is quite a coincidence, I would say. But let's see what it does. Going on board with the German is getting now through the corners number 9 and 10. Let's see how smoothly he puts the power down. Gets a little bit too wide, caught too much of the curb on the inside, I would say, but nonetheless he's away cleanly, improving by 7/10 at this point. He could get himself on the 32.7. If he doesn't improve anymore and just maintains that gap, he's going to get himself promoted to P2. So he's going to have himself an attack at Blackbird. Of course, Blackbird's lap time, the top 3's lap time have all been done on the hard compound of tires. So let's see what the German does, getting himself through the last DRS zone, now into turn number 16. Let's see how he gets in. Nice on the apex, nice on the exiting curb as well. Going to cross over the line, and it's going to be pole position. 132.1 for the German. Great improvement from him, as we also have Lil Jon on the softs on a flying lap of his own. He's the only driver at the moment on a flying lap. Fragioco came out of the pits, also Jensen and Blue, all of them on the medium compound of tire to get their outlap done. But let's see how it goes for Lil Jon. He's getting himself a 1.2 second improvement as he approaches the start of the 3rd sector, so doing very well, the driver. So he would get to 32.2 at this point if the lap was finishing at that point. Of course, he's now getting himself on contention for pole, even though he's on the soft tires. Let's see how he goes. Going hard on the brakes once again into turn number 14. Of course, the right-hand king of turn 15. The drivers don't really change their trajectory to deal with it, but officially it is a right-hand king of turn 15. Getting through 16 now, the left-hander, and it is pole position for Lil Jon. First driver to get himself under the 132s, and what a lap, a 131.1, very nicely done from the Hungarian driver of the Racing Points team. In the meantime, we've had Blue starting his flying lap. I'm going to try and take a look at who follows him. It was Blue, it was Tinko, I believe. He's in the second sector. Jensen is about to start his flying lap, I believe. So let's go on board with our reigning champion. He's getting himself through the gears, getting himself prepared for turn number 1. Needs to be careful with downshifting. Of course, you don't want to downshift too aggressively and lose the rear of the car. Spotting the apex quite nicely on the transition there for turn number 3. Start widening the trajectory as then you cut back onto as close as you can to the curb on the inside of turn number 4. To the right hand king of turn number 5, no problem. Hard on the brakes for turn number 6. Getting away cleanly as well. Up through the gears, just throw the car in as hard as you dare into turn number 7. Trying to get a good angle for turn number 8. Not quite the best angle I have seen from these drivers. Nonetheless, he is away cleanly. Now to the double apex left-hander of turns 9 and 10. Nice and clean on the exit as well. Up through the gears, waiting for the 100-meter marker sign. Hard on the brakes. A little bit of a miss there on the apex. Nonetheless, is not going to lose too much from it. Now as wide of an approach as he can to the very long turn 12. A bit of understeer yet to put more angle on the steering wheel than he probably predicted. Nonetheless, DRS wide open at the back of him. Mode number 5 on ERS. Some drivers prefer mode 4. He prefers mode number 5. Let's see how it gets to now. Ooh, a little bit of a complaint from the front right tire as we approach the apex of the curb. Now he only gets turn 16 to navigate through. A little bit of an hesitation, I would say. He could have carried more speed. Nonetheless, he's getting himself up to P8 as we have Fragioco getting himself through the line. Up to P3 goes the Italian driver of the Ferrari. In the meantime, we have Evil Kiwi in sector 2, improving by 2/10. Tinko is already in sector 3, improving by half a second. You also have Panda Cruiser and Row a little bit further behind. Let's take a look at what the Alfa Romeo driver does. In the meantime, we also have Blackbird about to start his flying lap. So, of course, he's been doing amazing performances in the last races, in the last race weekends. Unfortunately, Australia didn't start the best for him. He had a crash early on. And Lil Jon has retired from the session. Tinko moves up to P3. Bika is starting his lap as well, as we have Row moving up to P9. And Panda Cruiser is going to follow and is going to get P8. So he demotes Rocky and demotes Row. Rocky just started his flying lap as we have 10 seconds to go until the end of the session, and all drivers that are out there on flying laps, of course, no one is going to get caught on an out lap without time to make it to the start of their flying lap. So Briggs is actually not posting any lap time today, which is unfortunate. Let's take a look at the Williams driver, the Norwegian driver of the Williams. Spax Gamer against himself for 132.1. Jensen moves up to P4 with a 132.5. Still, the Toro Rosso split by a tenth of a second. Very good stuff to see as we have Blue, the Haas, in front of Blackbird. And Blackbird, I couldn't quite catch how much of an improvement he's having at the moment. I was expecting to get in the 31s, just like Bika did, getting himself best of the medium runners with a 131.6. Blackbird is closing in on Blue. Maybe this is not, maybe a little bit of mismanagement, and he's going to have reduced downforce into that braking zone. He's going to have to brake earlier. Let's see how it goes. He might also have dirty air into the last corner. It's going to be close. Let's see how it goes. He's not going to derate, and he's going to cross over the line, and it is P2 for Blackbird with a 131.6. Blue gets P9, and we also have FSKS. We have Spax Gamer getting himself in P4. Rainbow moves himself up to P10. We have Fragioco, who is of course not going to complete a lap, and he is going to be the last one to get through the line and to tell the game that the qualifying session is over, effectively. So, that was exciting. Lil Jon retiring quite early. He's also qualified on the softs, but overspeed qualifying on the softs and not even able to beat some of the medium runners. Not the greatest whatsoever. Fragile as well, 3rd place in qualifying at Bahrain, and now 13th here at China. Not the greatest performance from him, who hasn't been able to complete any races so far this season. I would expect him to try to come back as strong as he could to get a good result. Nonetheless, it wasn't his day. Overspeed gets himself before despite being on the softs, and of course he's going for the 2-stop strategy. Now can see the official results. Lil Jon and Blackbird, look at that, those two, 200ths of a second, just 2400ths of a second separating them. We have Overspeed in P3, Spax Gamer P5, sorry, Overspeed P4, Spax Gamer P5. Then we have Rwaggy in the only Red Bull today in 6th, Tinko in 7th for the second Alfa Romeo. Then we have Evil Kiwi in P8, FSKS in P9, and Jensen closes the top 10. Then we have Rainbow Blue, Frajoku, Panda Cruiser, and Row starting from outside the top 10, and therefore with a free choice of tires. Now, going to get ourselves into the Grand Prix. Looks like it is dry conditions, at least for the start of our Grand Prix. Just making sure everyone is getting through. They are on their loading procedures. I'm sure they're just discussing their strategies also with Jeff, right, with their respective Jeffs, and you are going to discuss a little bit of our strategy while we wait for everything to be sorted out. So, according to my data, this track, it is a very hard track to save ERS on. So if you have someone behind you pressurizing you lap after lap, having DRS on you as well, you need to run a higher mode to defend and to keep yourself ahead. But by doing that, you are losing at a much higher pace, because of course the guy behind you can just stick with DRS and by doing that keeping close to you, but also going lower on ERS, so he doesn't spend as much ERS on the straight because he can keep up with you because he has DRS available, right? So throughout the laps, we are going to start seeing some discrepancies show up between the ERS levels of people that are charging and some others that are trying to defend. So that's going to be an interesting dynamic, because this track is really hard for ERS management. Going to get myself the tires on the details. You can see the only 2 drivers starting on the softs are Lil Jon and Overspeed, and equally we have only 2 drivers starting the race on the hards, going for the alternate 1-stop strategy. In terms of the pit stops themselves, if you pit from mediums to hards, you can do it at lap 12. If you do the reverse, you can probably pit at lap 14, 15 or 16. Of course, those who started on the softs, they could go soft hard soft or soft medium medium. Of course, it's going to be interesting to see what they opt to do. Nonetheless, the 1-stop in theory is 30 seconds faster, so yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how it goes. Just waiting for everyone to get through with their formation lap. As we are just waiting, there's a couple of cars very far behind, as it is the case for Fragioco. Then we have Rainbow and one of the McLarens. Then we have Row in last place, very far behind the leaders. These guys pulled up too far away, and of course the tires and brakes are going to start cooling down as they wait. So that might be not playing on for them, right? Of course, the colder your brakes are and your tires, the less chances you have to get a good clean launch of the line. Row has disconnected from the session, very unfortunate for him. Hopefully he can get back soon, but let's see how it goes for him. Just waiting for everyone to line up. And yeah, Row has been able to join. Where is he? Oh, it was just... There are a couple cars that aren't even popping up for me. But nonetheless, there you have it. And you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. Lights out, and away we go for the Chinese Grand Prix. A good start from everyone. Rowe is still ghosted. Blackbird is going to challenge Lil Jon. Looks like he's a bit too far away. There's going to be 3 wide between Spax Gamer. Overspeed backs out, drops down to P5. Spax Gamer is going to try to have a go around the Dutchman of the Haas. Let's see how it goes. We also have Tinko trying to recover some places. Evil Kiwi already up to P7 is going to have a go around the outside. Let's see who gets the best traction out of this battle for P4. Spax Gamer is going to have a drag race with Overspeed. Let's see who is the last of the late breakers. You also have the Evil Kiwi and Tinko having a go at each other as Jensen gets inside of FSKS, moves up to P9. Evil Kiwi can't quite overtake the Alfa Romeo, but his teammate is knocking at the door for that position. Let's see how it goes now. He's going to back out and he's going to maintain P9 for the time being. Overspeed is able to regain his 4th place, but we have a Mercedes there. Was that Rainbow? Oh, and there's a spin. That is Overspeed. Overspeed spins and is down to last place, unfortunately. Overspeed, very unfortunate stuff from him, and is down all the way back on already compromised strategy. He really is having not very luck. Or not very good luck early on the races throughout this entire season. He's always involved in some mistake or some accident. Fortunately, I believe he didn't hit his front wing on anything, so he's going to be able to carry on, even though he already lost plenty of time in a strategy that was already by default quite compromised. We have yellow flags in sector 3. Did Overspeed crash somewhere? Overspeed did crash somewhere. So it is unfortunate to see, and I'm pretty sure he's going to retire from the race. Lil Jon does get the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Rowe is completely desynced from everyone. He just showed up as leading the Grand Prix, which is definitely not the case. But let's see how it goes. It's actually showing up as everyone. Yeah, he hasn't been able, he's still ghosted. He hasn't been able to come back to the car, which is unfortunate. Unless he's back to the car, but just desynced from everyone. And oh, we have someone who spun. That is Rwaggy. Rwaggy has spun, and he is thrown down the order as well. In the meantime, the game has realized Rowe is on the back of the pack, so the order is established correctly once again on the graphic. But just as you can see, and now it's Overspeed that is considered leading the Grand Prix, which is quite funny. Esports ready, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, nonetheless, Lil Jon is going to be quite pressurized by Blackbird. Taking a look at Blackbird, he's already having an advantage on ERS. This is exactly what I was talking about. We are already in lap number 3, and I would expect the ERS to be available to these drivers. It is not yet though, which is weird. But nonetheless, Blackbird is going to have a go around Lil Jon. No, Lil Jon does defend very nicely on the inside and invites Bika to get himself closer, and is now going to knock at the door of that top 2, I am sure, as Blackbird gets a little bit wide on the last corner. The RS is still not open at the back of the Williams, and Spax Gamer does get the fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far. The RS is enabled only at this point. Those 3 are very, very close to each other. Look at that. You could throw a blanket and cover all of them. We have also Jensen very close to his teammate FSKS, being heavily pressurized by Rainbow. Frajoko from a 13th place start has already made up to P10, so not too bad from the Ferrari driver. But let's see how it develops between these 2. Oh, we have a challenge there from Rainbow and FSKS. FSKS lost out the position, and Jensen also having a cheeky look down the inside of turn 6 on his teammate, not quite able to pull off the maneuver though. And as you can see, there's absolutely 0 team orders at the Firenze base squad. So that is very nice to see. It's going to be interesting. They've been separated by about a tenth through the entire qualifying, so they have very similar pace. Let's see how it develops between the 2. In the meantime, Blackbird, I'm sure he's going to have the RS on the back of his car available to him. And yeah, even before the DRS zone is already pulled alongside Lil Jon, and he is ahead even before the braking zone. Will Lil Jon try to lunge himself, trying to retaliate? Yes, he does. He does have a go around the outside. Blackbird, though, manages to keep P1. Let's see Lil Jon. He most likely has better traction at this point on his soft tires. And as soon as I say that, he loses the rear. There has to correct and gives a run to Bika. Of course, it's going to have DRS of his own, but let's see how it goes between them. Bika is going around the outside. Is there going to be contact? Looks like both drivers are behaving very nicely. Lil Jon, very nicely done to maintain himself ahead of the Haas, even though all that now allowed Spax Gamer to join the party, and it is now a four-way battle for the lead of the Grand Prix. In the meantime, we have Rainbow catching up to the Toro Rossos. He overtook the racing point and is now catching up to the Toro Rossos, so we might also have a neat battle between them. Fragioco also has Panda Cruiser and Rowe closely behind. I imagine Rowe has already been able to take back control of his car, even though he's used quite a bit of the ERS available to him. Lil Jon losing quite a bit. It's already a second of a gap between him and Blackbird. Of course, this softs the grade quite quickly, but nonetheless is losing quite a big amount of ground in this lap alone. And Bika and Spax Gamer, they might actually, both of them, have a go at him. Of course, Tinko is also pressurizing Spax Gamer, so the Ferrari driver needs to be aware of that one. Lil Jon is going to take the inside as he tries to defend from Bika. Of course, Bika needs to make quick work of him because he needs to not lose too much time to Blackbird. He does get inside line, and oh, Lil Jon goes straight on and is already getting rid of his 3 laps old soft tires. He's going to get rid of those. Overspeed is still in the race, 51 seconds behind everyone. Unless there is rain or a safety car or something, he's not really having the greatest of starts for his race. Lil Jon, of course, is going to get promoted to last place by pitting this early, and now it's going to be Bika 1.3 seconds away from Blackbird, and he needs to hurry up if he wants to catch up, because Spax Gamer isn't that far behind. And of course, the Ferrari driver is going to have a slipstream and DRS throughout the laps, and the ERS advantage is already quite big. Blackbird has much more ERS available to him than Bika, Spax Gamer as well, and Tinko also has quite a bit of ERS available to him compared to the Haas driver. Not as much as the Ferrari though. In the meantime, we have Evil Kiwi and Jensen very close together. Rainbow is very close as well. Jensen goes defensive on the entry to turn number 11. Oh, there might be contact there. Ooh, good awareness there from Jensen. He was giving the squeeze to Rainbow, but he realized the Mercedes was there. I would say not really the best overtaking spot because you lose time to everyone around you, but nonetheless, he's doing what he can to try and overtake and to give a gap to both. The Toro Rossos is going to get covered by Jensen though. Of course, Jensen is no slouch. He's the reigning champion. So of course he has also quite a bit of experience and maintains P6 for the time being. Bika gets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and we have Rainbow so close to that racing point. He's going to have DRS and he's going to take the inside line into turn number 1, and yes, he pulls off the maneuver. But Jensen isn't going to give it up that quickly. He's now getting around the outside, which is going to turn into the inside, but he just decided to back out, and Rainbow is going to pull away a little bit. In the meantime, we had yellow flag somewhere. Couldn't quite tell where it was. Oh boy, that was quite close between Jensen and Rainbow. Even a little bit of a love tap from the front wing of Jensen into the rear diffuser of the Mercedes. And those two are very close indeed. FSKS has been able to catch up to them as we have yellow flags in sector 3. I wonder if it is overspeed. Overspeed, maybe it was overspeed. But let's take a look at Blackbird, who's already pulled away. So let's see if Spax Gamer can close in on Bika. He is under a second. He's exactly at the same distance from the Dutch than Tinko is from him. He's actually with the Dutch driver in front of him and the Dutch driver behind. So let's see how that goes. Overspeed is getting himself to the pits. And we have yellow flags in sector 3. Was that Rowe? Did Rowe have an incident? Yes, he lost the rear. And he's going to get himself on the infield. He actually... Oh, another disconnection there from Rowe. Very unfortunate to see. And Rwaggy drops a place from Blue 24. And he's going to try to retaliate, taking the inside line into the hairpin. He is not really able to pull it off though. for the time being, but Row, very unfortunate, disconnects and also has an incident there. Yellow flags in Sector 1, not sure what those are for, but Rwaggy is closing in on blue and is going to have a go around the outside, clean maneuver, and he is up a place. No chance for the Haas driver to retaliate. Looking back to the battles at the top 10, FSKS is not able to overtake Jensen, and Rainbow is starting to close in on his rival. Let's see how that one develops. Of course, we're going to follow FSKS at this point, because he's closer. He's actually not. He's at the same distance from Jensen as Rainbow is from Evil Kiwi, so might actually witness 2 overtakes in this corner. FSKS not having as good of an exit of turn number 10. He's getting himself now to 11 and 12. Rainbow is much closer. Let's see how it goes. How quickly he is going, or is he going to close in on the Toro Rosso if he moves over to deny the slipstream. And Rainbow is a little bit too far behind. FSKS has the same story to tell. He is too far behind. A little bit of a mistake there from Jensen, getting too deep in the airpin. Nonetheless, FSKS isn't going to be able to overtake. Rainbow also loses a bit of time through this last corner, so he's too far away. As Stinko gets the fastest lap of the race to his name and is closed in to make the gap be less than half a second between him and the Ferrari. Bika, in the meantime, has been able to get within a second of Blackbird, so the fight for the lead is pulled back between these two. Of course, Bika and Blackbird had a battle for the race win at Bahrain. Bika got P2, Blackbird got P1, and the history repeats itself. It is Bika versus Blackbird. Let's see who takes the advantage this time around. Now let's take a look at Rainbow. He was still hunting down Evil Kiwi. Is not just close enough to pull off a maneuver just yet. Let's see how it goes on the DRS zone. But before that, let's take a look at Bika. He is too far behind, I would say, but he's still going to have DRS by his name. Let's take a look at that. Yes, he does have DRS available to him. Specs Gamer does not have DRS available to him, so it's going to be an easy prey to Tinko, who's going to close in by quite a bit. Look at the distance that was bridged there. If I don't, Tinko went a bit deep into turn 16, so he's going to have to wait for the next lap to maybe have a chance at overtaking. Specs Gamer is still 1 second behind, even though he just got DRS into turn number 1. He didn't get DRS on the last stretch though. So yeah, Specs Gamer is having a little bit of higher difficulty to be competitive in the second sector, as FSKS finally gets past Jensen into turn number 1. Jensen is not going to back down though. He's going to go around the outside. He's trying to switch back, not really able to pull it off. He's going to try a wider approach so he can get a cleaner exit out of turn number 4. Let's see how it goes between him, and no, looks like FSKS manages to keep himself ahead, and it is P7 at the moment for the Hungarian driver of the Racing Point, who hasn't been able to score higher than 10th place. He got that at Bahrain and hasn't been able to score higher than 10th place. So at the moment he's on his higher finishing position. Let's see if he can improve on that until the end of the Grand Prix. Specs Gamer has been able to catch up to Bika. Blackbird is also not being the fastest at the moment, but is over a second of a gap. Will Bika have DRS available to him? Let's find out real quick. And it looks like not. Yes, there is no ERS available to the Dutch driver of the Haas, and Specs Gamer is going to close in quite a bit. Cinco is also going to start closing in. The Ferrari goes deep in the corner, the same as the Alfa Romeo, and we have switchers for position. Evil Kiwi is battling Rainbow as Jensen is trying to get back at FSKS. Evil Kiwi maintains P5. Jensen does get past, but is going to have to have a tighter line through the last corner, and gets himself content with P8 for the time being. Great battling for all 4 of them. Evil Kiwi and FSKS were both able to maintain the position, but Rainbow is still trying to have a go at it. There is contact between both the Mercedes and the Toro Rosso. Let's see, ooh, a bit of a get out of here from Rainbow and Evil Kiwi. Let's use the last of the late breakers into turn number 6. Rainbow does have the inside line. Evil Kiwi does get a better exit. There is contact again between the two. They are going up through the gears to turn number 7. Let's see how it goes between them. Rainbow has the outside. It's going to turn into the inside, and it is a great maneuver there from the Mercedes. Gets himself up to P5. Jensen, in the meantime, he was pressurized by Fragioco as he was trying to battle FSKS, trying to get the position back. He allowed Fragioco and Panda Cruiser to close in, and Fragioco, he has tires that are on better condition at these points, I would say, because they are hards. They are integrating at the same rate, right? So he does have the advantage at the moment. Let's see how it goes. He's very close to Jensen. He might have a go for an overtaking attempt. In the meantime, for the lead, BK is too far behind. Tinko is also too far behind Specs Gamer. Let's take a look at Fragioco. Of course, Jensen is also taking the RS, so that difficults his target, and is going to have to stay put in P9 for the time being. Now, we have Bika getting 3/10 away from Blackbird, but still not close enough to overtake, as Fragioco is having a go. Oh, sorry, it was Jensen that is going to the pits. Jensen is the first of the medium starters to go to the pits. He wants to get rid of all the battling, and he wants to switch for a set of hards. He's going to take them until the end of this Grand Prix. As you can see, yellow marked hards on the Toro Rosso, and he gets away. Of course, he's going to come out of the pits in P13 for the time being. Getting back on the battles for the lead, Bika is maintaining half a second away from Blackbird, which is the same gap. The top 4 are at the exactly same gap between each other, which is quite interesting to see. Let's see how it goes until the DRS zone once again. Will Bika have enough in the tank to catch up to Blackbird? Blackbird and Bika have similar amounts of energy on their battery. It looks like Blackbird is consistently getting better exits. Tinko is very close to Specs Gamer, closer to Specs Gamer than the German is to the cars ahead. He might have a go. Let's see, will we see a lunge from the Alfa Romeo? No, he actually brakes early. Very cautious from him. But braking that early might actually cost him a couple meters on his rivals. Bika 5/10 away from his rival. Oh, and we have Blackbird and Bika, both of them straight on to the pits in the same lap. In the meantime, Fragioco and Panda Cruiser are coming. Of course, Panda Cruiser is not close enough to overtake. We also have Evil Kiwi getting himself in the pits, and I'm going to be interested in seeing where Jensen rejoins the track. Of course, he's undercutting some of his rivals by 1 lap, some of them by 2 even, as Blackbird maintains himself ahead of Bika. Let's see, did Bika rejoins the track behind his teammate. So Bika rejoins the track behind his teammate. Of course, Blackbird might as well get held up by Fragioco. Let's see how that goes. Sorry, not Fragioco, but Rocky. Of course, Rocky is fighting for position. He doesn't really need to concede anything to his rival. There is a wheel-banging session there, but nonetheless, they are through. The Norwegian is through ahead of the Red Bull driver, and that is bad news for Bika, who now has to overtake not only his teammates, but also the Red Bull driver. Ooh, that is not the greatest place. I don't know if there is any sort of team orders. Looks like there is not any sort of team orders between both Haas drivers, and this is certainly going to be difficult. You can see how much time he has lost out. Jensen comes out from his round of pit stops ahead. Evil Kiwi comes out of the pits ahead of Jensen, despite getting undercut by a lap. So the undercut wasn't too effective, I would say. They are still separated by half a second. Lil Jon is getting very close to Blue as well, so we might see anything happening. In the meantime, we have Fragioco getting... Oh, FSKS is in the pits. We have lots of people in the pits at this point. So we have Tinko in the pits, Pax Gamer in the pits. We have Rainbow, we have Panda Cruiser, we have FSKS. Let's see how this one is going to develop for all of these drivers. Of course, Fragioco takes the lead, Blackbird P2, Rwaggy hasn't pitted yet, P3, Bika P4, then we have Spax Gamer in P5, comes out of the pits in P5, very close to Bika, as then we have Lil Jon who hasn't pitted yet, and Blue also has not pitted yet. Stinko comes out behind all of them in P8 with Rainbow very close to him, and then we have Evil Kiwi and Jensen more than a second behind Rainbow and Tinko. So looks like they actually got jumped by the Alfa Romeo and the Mercedes through the round of pit stops. FSKS in the meantime has pitted, of course, comes out in P12, Panda Cruiser P13. So we have Blue, Lil Jon has pitted once already but is going to pit again. So we have Blue, Lil Jon, Rwaggy and Fragioco still yet to make their pit stops that are going to have the tires they are going to take until the end of the Grand Prix. Jensen might actually start pressurizing his teammate, but nonetheless, let's jump for the battle to P3. Rwaggy, of course, is struggling a little bit with his tires, and as you can see, there is an 8-second gap from Bika to the car ahead. Rwaggy trying to squeeze his rival there, but nonetheless, the difference of speed was just too big. Rwaggy wasn't able to do too much to deny Bika from taking the last of the podium paying places. Spax Gamer is going, he's actually not needing to make a move because Rwaggy is going to the pits, getting rid of his set of medium tires. Bika gets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far, but he does have quite a bit of a job to do, as he is currently, that must be wrong though, is definitely not 8 seconds behind. Bika is not 8 seconds behind Blackbird. That is not 8 seconds whatsoever. So yeah, there is definitely a bit of a glitch there with the timing between Blackbird and Bika. So I'm not sure how that is going to come up at the end of the race. I don't know what the game is assuming as true, or if it is just trolling me and me only. So it is interesting to find out as we get closer to the end of the Grand Prix. What we know is that Spax Gamer is within a second of the Dutch driver of the Haas. So let's see how that one develops between them, as we are going to have DRS available on the back of the Ferrari. A little bit, maybe too many whacks at the steering wheel as he gets himself mode number 1 of ERS. That cost him quite a bit. He's really struggling on his ERS management. Bika has more than him, and Blackbird has more than the remaining drivers of the top 3. Fragioco is going to take his tires for a couple more laps, and yeah, Blackbird, I'm sorry, I was reading that one wrong. Blackbird is 6 seconds away from Fragioco. It is Bika 1.5 seconds away from the Norwegian, as he gets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix with a 1:35.2. That's the Williams driver. It's a great lap from him, trying to get himself the full 26 points today and extend his championship lead. Now, in the meantime, we have a battle between the Toro Rossos, as I was expecting to happen. Jensen gets DRS, gets past Evil Kiwi, and of course, they aren't really going to put up much of a fight with each other. They are competitors, of course, but they also realize they are teammates, and at this moment, they aren't battling for too much. It's whoever gets 2 points instead of 1 at this point, so it's not really too important to fight over these positions. If one of them can get higher and claim more points for themselves and for the team, that would be the best scenario for them. But yeah, Evil Kiwi and Jensen, by pitting earlier, did not get the advantage I would expect them to have. So they are relegated to P9 and P10. Of course, we have Blue and Fragioco, who haven't pitted yet, but nonetheless, those are only 2 positions. So yeah, let's see how it develops until the end of the Grand Prix. In the meantime, we have FSKS trying to keep up with the Red Bulls, or sorry, the Toro Rossos. So he's 8 tenths away from the 2 guys ahead on the screen. Let's take a look. Will Evil Kiwi overtake Jensen? Jensen does not have DRS available to him, but Evil Kiwi isn't really pulling the trigger on a maneuver. Ooh, he got deep though. He almost collected his teammate, but all is safe and they are ready to get through, as Blue finally goes into the pits, going to get rid of his tires, and the skies are looking quite threatening. While we take a look at this pit stop, I'm actually going to ask overspeed. I'm going to send him a quick message if there was rain for the end of the race. Was there rain expected for the end of the race? I'm going to ask him and see what he responds. So, in the meantime, we have Blue coming out of the pits on mediums. Only driver on the mediums at this point of the race. Going to do 12 laps on them, of course. It is perfectly capable of doing that. So, let's see how the race is going to develop for him. In the meantime, these Toro Rossos aren't really able to keep up with the Mercedes ahead and everybody else in the top 6, unfortunately. FSKS is already within a second of Evil Kiwi, so we might have a three-way battle for P8 between the German and the two Toro Rosso drivers. But yeah, let's see how it goes. At the moment, we have the Czech driver pursuing the Dane as Evil Kiwi does get a big mistake there coming out of the corner number 12. Fortunately, didn't see any penalties pop up as we have Fragioko finally getting himself on the pits and is going to switch for a set of softs, I am sure. Not sure though if there is going to be rain or not. The weather is, or the skies are quite threatening at this point. Let's not forget the skies were bright and clear at the beginning of this race. Of course, Fragioko got undercuts, lost a bit of pace. That's understandable. He's going to come out right away in the thick of it with a battle between him and Panda Cruiser. The McLaren rather is going to try to have a go around the outside. Can't quite pull it off despite the cold tires on the Ferrari. The Italian is able to defend and maintain himself on the points paying positions. He is on the mediums, so he's going to start having a pace advantage from now until the end of the Grand Prix. Looking at the gaps from everyone, it is still FSKS, Jensen and Evil Kiwi that are close to each other than Fragioko and Panda Cruiser, but at the top it is still Blackbird saving ERS, Bika trying to do the same, but CCS to save ERS, he can't quite keep up with the Williams. And we have Spax Gamer who hasn't really been able to catch up to them. So he's losing time. It's 3.5 seconds already, the gap between them. And Spax Gamer is really struggling with his ERS management at this point, as you can see on the bottom right side of your monitors. We also have Lil John, who of course needs to pit again soon. Wondering if he's going to pit for a set of softs or if he's going to risk it in case there is rain. Going to get himself 4th place at the moment. But yeah, let's see how it goes once the pit window for him opens. Maybe he's risking to try to find out if there is going to be any rain, but you're going to find out soon, I believe. Nonetheless, jumping now to the battle for P8, Evil Kiwi is getting pressurized by FSKS. The German has closed up on him and he has lost a couple tenths on Jensen. So it might become quite interesting at the end of this lap. Bika has been able, I was going to say, Bika just gained 2 tenths on Blackbird, but looks like he just lost half a second on the previous sector. It is 1.7 seconds, while it was 1.3, 1.2 seconds in the previous lap. So unfortunately, it is what it is. Bika just is struggling to manage his ERS and also keep a pace that would enable him to challenge for the lead of the Grand Prix. Let's get back to the aforementioned battle for P8. Evil Kiwi lost contact with his teammate. FSKS is much closer. He's going to have mode number 4 on the ERS. He's going to give it all up, trying to overtake the ERS wide open at the back of his racing point. Slipstream as well. Let's see how it goes. He's closing in by quite a bit. It's not going to be enough though, but he is going to be much closer, and there's a contact there between FSKS and Evil Kiwi. When you are pushing so hard, when you are on mode number 4 on the ERS, when you are on the ERS as well, you need to account for that and brake slightly earlier. Fragioko with that mistake from the German. FS Gas is not going to have DRS, and Francioko does have DRS, gets also the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, and is going to get himself throwing down the inside of the Racing Point, going to move himself up to P9, but there is the answer from the Racing Point, which turns into the outside positioning into turn 3 and 4, and he doesn't really have a chance of striking back. Francioko moves up to a P9. Of course, his battle with Evil Kiwi is going to allow Francioko now to have to be at least at this point on the RS range of the car ahead, and of course he is on softer, fresher tires, the number 9. So let's see what the Italian does, as he's now starting to hunt down the Czech driver, and then I would also be interested in seeing what can he do compared to Jensen once he overtakes Kiwi. We're going on board with him to find out who gets the best traction out of turn number 12. Let's see how it goes on the uphill of exit of turn 11. Now getting on the throttle, a little bit of understeer from Francioko. Let's see. Ooh, a little bit of too much steering angle, I would say, but nonetheless, he's going to have the slipstream, he's going to have DRS, mode number 3 of ERS as well. Look how close, how quickly he's closing in, and he already, even before the braking zone, he is already ahead. It does allow Evil Kiwi to try to outbrake him a little bit, but at this point, he's not really going to be able to retaliate, so he's going to have to be content with 9th place for the time being. Francioko beats his previous fastest lap with another fastest lap of his own. First driver to lap below the 135s, 134.9 for the Italian. So despite not having the greatest qualifying performance, he is definitely having a better Grand Prix. Actually going to try to take a look at the position changes, and yes, as I was expecting, he was the car. Sorry, he's actually tied with Rainbow. Rainbow started from P11, Francioko started from P13. Both of them have climbed 5 places from where they started. Rwaggy is the biggest loser, I would say, at this point. He has dropped 6 places since or compared to his starting position. Now, getting back on the tire detail, you see there's only 2 drivers at this point on the mediums, and blue doesn't look like it's really going to amount to much at this point unless it starts raining. Looks like the clouds were threatening a couple laps ago, but they have started to clear out again, I would say. So there is still sun shining over the Shanghai International Circuit, as there's Lil Jon getting pressurized by Tinko. Lil Jon defends on the inside. Let's see, Tinko looks like he got better exits. Of course, Lil Jon is on 15 lap old tires. Tinko has less than half and is going to be able to get back on him. Lil Jon though with DRS on his car at the moment, and is able to come back and claws back 4th place for him. Great battle there between the two. But yeah, Lil Jon, ooh, a little bit of love tap, I would say, there from Tinko on Lil Jon. Actually going on board with the Dutch driver of the Alfa Romeo. Let's see how it develops for these 2 drivers. They are quite close to each other. Tinko is going to hold on to P5 for the time being and potentially try to overtake again in the DRS zone. Francioko is in the same situation. He's been able to leave Evil Kiwi 2 seconds behind, and he is closing in on the reigning champion. Let's see how it goes through turn 8 now and through turns 9 and 10. Let's see how good of an exit he gets. Tinko already lost a couple tenths. He's over half a second behind. Francioko doing much better, keeping himself under half a second behind. So let's see who gets the better exit. Ooh, Jensen got a mistake there, locked up the rears, or maybe downshifted too quickly, lost the rear traction there for a second, and Francioko is just going to say thank you very much. He's going to take the slipstream, mode number 5 of ERS, drops down to 3, and even before the DRS zone is already side by side, and now he's just going to pull away, get himself up to P7, as Lil Jon and Tinko are having another run at it. Once again, Lil Jon goes wide, trying to defend his position, takes DRS again, and just like in the previous lap, he is going to maintain his position. P4 for him. Let's try to take a look at Tinko, see if he's going for the switchback. No! Lil Jon defends nicely, parks his car nicely to avoid the switchback from Tinko. So great defensive driving there from Lil Jon, maintaining himself ahead of a rival that has basically half of the amount of laps he has done on his own hards. So it is definitely very nice to see. In the meantime, Fragioco has already left Jensen in the dust, and he is closing in on Rainbow. 1.4 seconds is the gap at the moment. Let's not forget, he still has fresher and softer tires, so it is definitely going to be a threat. Not sure if he's going to be able to contest for this top 5 battle. Maybe if Lil Jon continues battling on with Tinko, maybe Fragioco can still contest for a top 5 finish. But yeah, great run on the mediums from the Italian driver of the Ferrari. Now, taking a look at Bika, is he close enough? He is right on the gearbox of Blackbird, but not close enough to overtake at the moment. Tinko, mode number 4 of DRS. DRS wide open on the back of his car, and it is going to be the outside once again for the Alfa Romeo. Lil Jon needs to do what he has done before. Looks like he lost out a little bit once again on traction, but he's going around the outside. There is contact between the two. He gets a penalty. He drops down to P10, and once again Lil Jon maintains P4 ahead of the Alfa Romeo of Tinko. Great battling between these two guys. Very nice to see indeed. Now, looking back to Bika, is now finally caught up with Blackbird. Blackbird, as you can see, has much more ERS available to him, but Bika, he can pressurize if he is able to get the RS and get close enough to force Blackbirds to use a higher mode, while Bika conserves the RS using the slipstream and the DRS to keep in contention. He might pressurize Blackbird, and we might have an exciting 5 last laps of these Grand Prix. Now, I believe Lil Jon is going to do, if he takes these tires to the end, it's going to be 25 laps on this set of tires, which I am not sure is going to be able to pull off. Especially as he's battling, I would say that takes quite a bit of his tires, and is asking for a puncture at this point, I would say. Let's see how it goes though. Tinko is getting close to Lil Jon, just like Fragioco is getting quite close to a Rainbow. Let's see how it goes between them, and you can see the Ferrari closing in on the Mercedes. Tinko gets himself around the outside once again. Rainbow defends from the inside, and Tinko once again gets a better exit. Let's see how it goes. Once again we have a little bit of a get out of here from Tinko, occupying the entire track, and this time Lil Jon does get the RS, but he's not really able to pull it off. Now, yeah, he's not really able to pull it off. In the meantime, Fragioco does have better luck and is going to have a go at it. Lil Jon tried to get inside of Tinko into turn 2, not quite able to pull it off, and is going to have to maintain himself in P5. A little bit of a tank slapper then from the Ferrari. The Mercedes might take advantage of it, but now he is too far behind at this point. Bika has lost time in the previous lap. It is 1 second gap between the Dutch and the Norwegian, so let's see how that develops between them as well. Now, moment to take a breather. We are navigating through sector 2, not really much of overtaking zones in sector number 2, but let's see how it goes. We are about to witness another round. It's going to be Fragioco, Lil Jon getting the RS on Tinko. Lil Jon is having an Herculean effort, really an amazing effort to keep up with his rival, but nonetheless, you can see on the traction, he just lost too much there. He's not really he's going to have DRS that is going to give him a fighter's chance, but let's take a look at that. Yeah, just lunges around the outside the Ferrari, and there is contact between him and the Racing Point. The Racing Point might try the same strategy that has worked for him in the previous laps. He's going to keep himself in P5 and is going to have DRS of his own, courtesy of Tinko. Will the Ferrari be able to throw himself down the insides though? Yes, he is. Lil Jon, props to him to being able to give space on 20 lap old hards. As it goes for the switchback, it's going to turn into the inside for Lil Jon, going on board with Rainbow to witnesses the battle ahead of him, trying to pick up any points that might come his way. Lil Jon, is he going to try to have a go around the inside? No, he does not. And he's going to maintain himself in P6 for the time being. Unfortunately, despite his valiant efforts, Lil Jon isn't really going to be able to defend too much from his rivals. Tinko has already pulled away from Franciocco, but again, the Italian does have softer, fresher tires. So let's see how that one goes. Of course, I would say Lil Jon will get overtaken by Rainbow on this lap, despite Lil Jon having the RS. I would say just on the exit of this corner, Lil Jon is going to lose too much time to be able to defend from the Mercedes. Let's see how it goes. The RS is going to be open quite soon on the back of both the Racing Point and the Mercedes. Let's see how quickly he can close in on his rival. His rival is on number 1 ERS mode. Rainbow was on mode number 4. There is a collision between him and Franciocco. Fortunately, Franciocco was barely affected by that one, but there is a big amount of front wing damage on the Mercedes, and now he's going to be suffering quite a bit until the end of the race. Lil Jon might actually have a go at him. He needs to be careful, and yeah, Lil Jon just throws himself down the inside, capitalizes on the weakness now of the Mercedes driver, and is going to limp himself home with a damaged front wing. A big mistake there from him, misjudging the braking zone. Of course, again, if you have DRS, if you have mode number 4 of ERS, you are going to reach the braking zone at a higher speed, so you need to compensate for that. He didn't, and got himself on the back of Franciocco, almost took out the Ferrari as well. Now, taking a look at the lead once again, Blackbird has been able to pull away. Bika has done his best to keep up, but the gap has grown again to 1.5 seconds. So at this point, Bika doesn't have a chance to overtake. Going to take a look at the race director real quick. Only a warning from the leader. Bika has 2 warnings to his name. Specs Gamer has 1 warning. Tinko has 2 warnings. Franciocco 0 warnings. Lil Jon has 0 warnings. Jensen does have a warning, but that is it. And Rainbow is out! Rainbow is out from the session. Going to try to figure out where he got out, though. Rowe is still out there. I'm not sure. Yeah, he's not really going to be able to overtake Rainbow anytime soon, so we can find out. But nonetheless, Rainbow is out of the race. Couldn't quite figure out where that was. Maybe he lost out to rear coming out of the long turn 12. But nonetheless, FSKS is promoted to P8, Jensen to P7, Evil Kiwi to P9, and Rocky breaches now the top 10. Lil Jon is still going on 22 lap old hards. He's going to have to do 2 more laps on them. So 24 laps on a set of hards. That is definitely going to be hard. He pitted in lap 3 for a set of softs. So it is going to be interesting to see how this one develops. Of course, Jensen has much fresher tires and is probably going to start closing in on the racing point. Looking back at the front, Bika continues losing time to Blackbird, so I don't believe there is too much to discuss between them. Franciocco moves up to, continues holding P5, and he is closing in on Tinko. Of course, by the time he overtook Lil Jon and Rainbow and all of them, Tinko had already pulled away by a little bit. But Franciocco, he needs to keep himself calm. He needs to give his all. He doesn't have much ERS to his name. Tinko has a big advantage on that department. But if he can play his cards right, maybe force Tinko, pressurize him into a mistake, and just see how it goes. No DRS available to anyone on track at this point, so it is what it is for all of them. And going to Panda Cruiser gets a 5-second stop penalty, or 5-second penalty for exceeding track limits. Very unfortunate from the German driver of the McLaren. But yeah, we have the Norwegian driver. Oh yeah, he retires. I understand the frustration, but yeah, he is out. But yeah, taking a look at Blackbird, just a very good composed race himself. He had some dicey moments with Bika and Specs Gamer being very close to him, but nonetheless, at the end of it, Blackbird, especially after the pit stop, managed to get himself 2 cars between him and Bika, and that was crucial, especially as Bika lost time overtaking his own teammate, as his own teammate is actually out of the point. So I would say that that wasn't the most clever of options from Blue, but nonetheless, it is what it is. No team orders at Haas, it looks like, and it is going to be it. Blackbird has 3 corners at this point, separating him from the race win. Jensen gets himself within a second of Lil Jon. Not sure if that's going to be enough for an overtake to happen though. But nonetheless, there you have it. Great performance, and Blackbird is going to cross over the line to take home the win of the Chinese Grand Prix. Bika is going to also, after a great battle, get himself P2 once again for the second straight race. He's not really able to contest Blackbird for P1. Specs Gamer closes in P3. Tinko P4. Fred Joku at the end just couldn't quite catch P5. Lil Jon is going to get P6. Jensen glued up on him, but gets P7. FSKS P8. Rocky P9. Evil Kiwi closes the top 10 as Rocky overtook him in the dying seconds, and Evil Kiwi got a penalty. And then Blue is going to get P11 as Row lapped, of course. Yes, it was ghosted for most of the race as well, so it's basically a DNF for him. Was a lap down, crossed the line, and so Blue is the last one to get himself done with it. So there you have it. Another race, another great performance from Blackbird. He was denied a win at Australia by a mistake of his own, despite getting himself the lead of the Grand Prix very early. And nonetheless, he came back strong for Bahrain with a win, and now it is his second win in a row for the Williams driver. Second place in a row for Bika, who is still following in the shadow of the Williams driver. And then Specs Gamer getting his second podium of the season, second podium in 3 races, third place in 3 races, and continues his run of top 5 finishes. So yeah, as you can see, it is Blackbird taking the win. Bika P2, Specs Gamer P3, Tinko P4, Fetchuk P5, Lil Jon P6, Jensen P7, FSKS P8, Rocky in P9, and Evil Kiwi closes the top 10. To me, Lil Jon is the driver of the day. The way he managed to control his hearts, even though he was battling. Usually when you battle, you lose time and you wear out your tires quicker because you are braking harder to try to outbrake your opponents. You are taking tighter lines through the corners to respect the space of your rivals. So yeah, it is a rather interesting position to be at, but nonetheless he managed to control his tires and got himself a 24 lap stint. Let me repeat, 24 lap stints on the hards. Absolutely insane from the Hungarian driver, getting home with the P6 and, on my books, the driver of the day. Thank you, Richard, I appreciate that. But yeah, guys, this is it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, give me a like button. If you did not, the dislike button is, as always, right beside it. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. Hit the bell icon for any notifications of whenever we are about to start a live stream or to post a video. Hope to see you guys next time, and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.